The heat is almost unbearable, and my fur is damp from sweat, the skin underneath itching and uncomfortable. I can feel the sun on my face, the brightness turning the insides of my eyelids a dazzling red. I don't want to open them, though. No. I just want to sleep. I almost do fall asleep, but a distant chorus of shouts and screams jolts me back awake. Now I do try to open my eyes, but I can't.
Oh no. It's like our sleep paralysis coming up again.
Yeah, it's like they're glued shut. I reach up to pod them, but my arms won't lift. I must be dreaming, stuck in a paralysis. So I lay there, listening to the shouting and screaming, imagining an angry mob. After what seems like hours, the voices fade, and the red turns deeper, darker, blood-like, as if the sun is setting. And that's when I can finally drift away, back to sleep. A soft, choking moan brings me back to the surface. I'm still hot and sweaty, but the blazing sun isn't shining in my face anymore. I wiggle my fingers and shift my arms a bit, feeling them glide over fabric. At least I'm not paralyzed anymore. Another moan, followed by a coughing sound, forces me to open my eyes, realizing it's not part of a dream. No! We're back here.
How?
Why? Where was he for a bit? Weird. I stare up at the ceiling, a textured beige ceiling. I'm back in the room where I'd slept. How long ago? A day? A few days? It doesn't matter because everything comes back to me at once. I feel like a lead weight has just dropped onto my chest, knocking the wind out of me. Fuck. Is this not over? Now I'm starting to become convinced that this is never going to end. We're stuck in a loop, just like in my dreams. Another moan, slightly weaker, makes me sit up and look around the room. I'm alone as far as I can tell. Where are the others? Am I actually alone? I can't stop a soft whimper coming from my mouth as the thought of being separated from the others.
God, that would be terrifying if you were in this situation and then you one day just fell asleep and then you woke up and then every other person was gone but you and you were just stuck here all by yourself.
Every time that I was alone, I would worry that I'm just alone for good now.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, I gotta keep you in my visual line.
Yes. My immediate thought the moment this whole thing started was like, never break line of sight, ever. I do not trust this.
Go around a corner and then you just never see them again.
I was barely keeping it together with Carl, but without him. A loud cough through the wall behind me makes me jump again. I quickly slide off the bed and immediately cringe as the weight comes to rest on my swollen ankle. I sag against the bed for a moment, squinting my eyes shut as I wonder why my ankle is only getting stiffer. Because you fucking did it again. You fucked it up again yesterday.
You did it again and then you're not,
You gotta wrap that thing. Take those drapes.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, you really should wrap it.
Yeah, don't respect the furniture.
Yeah, who cares? It's ugly anyway.
These are survival supplies.
Look at that. I hate the pattern on those curtains, man.
Maybe it looks better when you can see what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like actually just a bunch of little naked men. We just can't see it from here. Wee.
Maybe the fall Carl had taken made it even worse. Probably. You fell at least twice. The thought that those moans could be coming from Carl spurs me to straighten up and carefully hop towards the door. I have to stifle a short yelp with every bounce, and by the time I reach the door frame, I have to lean against it to catch my breath. My hands shake as I rub my eyes, the pain making me wonder if I'll ever be able to walk without a limp again.
Maybe not. I mean, if you're stuck here for long enough and you're not getting proper medical care.
If it doesn't ever get to be set and healed correctly.
Yeah, you're just gonna have a bad leg for the rest of your life.
You gotta wrap this thing bad.
You gotta wrap it, but then you also gotta
splint it.
Yeah, splint it, and then you gotta like physical therapy it to start to use it even if it hurts, so it doesn't get stuck in one position.
You need like a crazy boot. Another groan from the room next to me forces me to move again. In the hallway now, I'm able to make out the sounds a bit better and realize it has a feminine quality to it. Jenna? My voice comes out in a crackly squeak, and I grunt to clear my throat. Jenna! I try again and wait, but I get no response in return. I force myself to step into the hallway, clinging to the wall for support. When I look down the hall to the door next to mine, I find something very familiar. A damaged wooden door, the middle bulging and splintered out, as if something had hit it from the other side. Memories of a bad smell, a dark, concrete room, and a noose. I hold tighter to the door frame, feeling my knees tremble, both from pain and the fear. I look behind me, hoping to see Carl, maybe even Raven. A shuffling sound followed by another cough and gurgle draws my eyes back to the door. If it's Jenna, I have to act now. I steady myself against the wall as I hop slowly to the door, eyes watering with the pain now. Reaching out with a shaking hand, I start to slowly push at the door. I'm hoping that I might be able to crack it open just a little bit and not draw the attention of whatever it is inside. The door only shifts a little, though, and seems to catch on the ground underneath it. It lets out a rough scratching sound that makes my fur raise up. Gritting my teeth, I forego the stealthy approach and give it a hard shove. This time it opens halfway, and I'm able to see into the room. Just like last time, there's no light coming from within the room itself. Instead, I have to rely on the dim, yellow light coming from the hallway. It casts a widening band of light into the concrete room as the door opens. The smell hits me like a wave, and I immediately gag, doubling over and pressing a hand to my nose before pulling up the neck of my shirt over my nose. Sure, I smell like BO from 2 days of running and fear, but it's better than the sweet smell of rotting meat that's enveloping me.
Sweet, sweet rotting meat.
Still shaking, I peer into the room while I lean against the door, but I'm only able to see the cracked concrete floor and walls. The grunting, choking sounds reach a peak now, and it's coming from beyond the band of light. It's an inky blackness that isn't all that different from what Carl and I had run through. Hello? No response. It sounds like the grunting has stopped, too. Shit, I have to do something now. I think about just kicking the door open and jumping back, but then I remember that there's really nothing I can do with my feet right now. Taking a deep breath, I set both hands against the door. I steel myself for whatever I'm about to see, then shove the door as hard as I can. The door swings in suddenly, scraping horribly against the floor the entire way. I yelp at the suddenness of it all, the tension all exploding out of me at once as I jump back in fear. The band of light widens, sweeping over the entirety of the concrete room before the door finally lodges against the wall with a snapping sound. I almost lose my balance, arms swinging around cartoonishly as I try to hop up on one foot. At the same time, I'm fearfully eyeing the opening, terrified of what I'm about to see. And what I do see is definitely terrifying. It's Jenna, in the middle of the room. She's hanging from the noose, her muzzle tilted up, so I'm able to see clearly the rope digging into the fur around her neck, painfully tight. Her toes are barely touching the floor, but it doesn't even look like she's trying to keep herself up. It looks like she's unconscious. Jenna! There's no response, and I find myself leaping in her direction. I forget about my ankle until all of my weight comes down on it twice in my mad dash, and I literally scream as it happens.
Oh, that poor ankle.
There isn't any time to worry about it, though, as I grab at Jenna, unsure what to do. First, I try to wrap my arms around her and lift her up, screaming again as I set my weight down on my foot. She doesn't respond to any of this, and just hangs limp in my arms, which terrifies me even more. I reach up and pluck uselessly at the hangman's knot that I immediately know isn't going to budge no matter how much I pull. Carl! Carl, help! I feel myself starting to panic. Desperately, I look around, trying to find something, anything I might be able to use to cut at the rope. Jenna? I call up to her. I can't see her eyes from this angle, but I can't feel any movement in her. I try to press my ear against her chest, but I'm not sure if I'm doing it in the right spot. I try to quiet my breathing and actually listen, but I still can't hear anything. Shit, Carl! I feel myself start to hyperventilate, and try again to slow my breathing. If I pass out right now, then I'm going to be less help than I already am. The world is starting to take on a surreal tint, and I think I'm actually dreaming. I think about running to the kitchen, but I don't want to let her go, especially since I feel like she's on the edge of dying right now. I reach up again, and start trying to worm my fingers underneath the rope, but it's useless. It's way too tight. My eyes start to water as I realize I'm not helping her at all right now, aside from maybe taking a little pressure off her neck. But it might be too late anyway. Help! I'm suddenly hyper-aware of the screaming pain in my ankle, and I feel it giving out. So are my arms, burning with the strain of trying to hold Jenna up. I press my face against her chest, feeling myself start to give up. On everything. And then suddenly the weight disappears, and I feel Jenna lift up several inches into the air. I look up and see Carl next to me, his big arms easily able to keep the fox off the ground. Not only that, but he's got a knife in one hand. I recognize it as the same knife Carl had used earlier in the hallway. Carl! I sob with relief as he sets to sawing at the rope, and soon all three of us come crashing to the ground as Jenna's cut free. We all lay there in a heaving heap. The only sound is our gasps as we all try to catch our breaths, Jenna being the loudest. After a while, I sit up and look over at her. She's already sitting up herself, one hand to her neck, rubbing at it. Are you okay? I reach out to her.
I'm fine.
She leans away a little from my hand, so I drop it. Thought you were gonna die, Jenna. My voice is all shuddery, and I struggle to keep my emotions under control, to not have a panic attack. Whatever was controlling this whole scenario just tried to kill one of us. But then, I guess it's already happened with that shadow creature thing, and even with what's happening to Raven. What's happened to Raven? Oh yeah, the first ghost thing. The first moment.
At first second I thought they were alluding that something like, I was like, where is Raven right now?
I mean, the moment they're like, it just tried to kill one of us, I'm like, where is Raven right now?
Raven.
But I think what happened there is she almost died the same way that John did.
Yeah. Yes.
Jenna picks up the knife and brings it up to her neck, starting to saw away at the rope. I can help.
Yeah, Dad, be careful.
She ignores me. I look over at Carl and see that he's flat on his back, arms spread out. Thank you, Carl. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't shown up. Carl raises a hand in acknowledgement. How the hell did you get a knife? Carl takes a few more gasps to catch his breath.
I heard you guys and saw that.
He gestures up at the hanging rope. The end of it frizzled out after the cut.
Remember that knife I dropped when we were here before?
Thank God. We lay there a while longer, Jenna busy hacking at the rope, Carl choosing to stare up at the ceiling. That almost peaceful silence is shattered as a husky stumbles into the doorframe, grasping the wall as he practically trips in.
Peaceful silence is usually interrupted when a husky decides to run through the doorframe.
Whoa! Hey guys!
Yo! I just was having a wonderful time. How about you guys?
I was attracted here by the sickly sweet smell of rotting meat.
Yum, yum.
He grins, waving a hand at us as he rights himself. He looks around at us, taking in the scene. What happened? Jenna got hanged. Carl cut her down.
That is hanged. It's like one of those really difficult to conjugate words.
There's really no way to sugarcoat it. Oh, crap. He stares wide-eyed at Jenna. Well, guess it's surprising it wasn't me this time, huh? He lets out a high-pitched, nervous laugh. None of us even cracks a smile.
Yeah, it's not funny.
You're okay, though?
Fine.
Raven looks around the room. Well, looks like we're still here. Carl lets out a big, shuddery breath.
I don't know if I can do this anymore.
What do you mean?
We're stuck. I don't know what else we're supposed to do.
Just keep looking around. We're finding stuff, right?
And then what? Get sucked into another fucked up place where we'll be chased around and almost killed?
He waves his hand in Jenna's direction.
Look what just happened. It wants us dead.
Carl. I trail off.
What?
I try to think of something to say. Anything that might convince the ram to keep going. Just a while ago, minutes, hours, days, I was having the same doubts. But for some reason, Carl's sudden demeanor of defeat has me more motivated. Because if Carl gives up, what else is there to keep me going? There's a soft snap, and I look over to see that Jenna's pulled the rope from her throat. How's your neck? Jenna rubs it.
Fine.
Her voice has an air of complete disinterest, despite the situation. She seems distracted, too, her eyes flicking around at the ceiling, like she's expecting something to happen up there.
She's really not elaborating on how this happened. I'm wondering if she was possessed and convinced to hang herself, and is disappointed that it didn't happen. Like, a part of me thinks that she hung herself, or hanged herself. Probably because the ghost perhaps told her to. But she doesn't seem happy that she was saved at all. But at the same time, like, you know, she's
going through a lot.
Yeah, and she hasn't. I'm still kind of salty she never apologized to Carl for kicking him in the nads earlier.
No.
It seems like she has moments of lucidity, so you think she'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm sorry I did this to you. But no, she's, you know, super stoic.
Up. And now she has a knife.
Oh yeah, you guys shouldn't have handed that to her. I didn't think about that.
I look up too, but all I can see is concrete that's spiderwebbed with cracks. The rope, I notice, is hanging from nothing.
Well.
Like it's just coming out of the ceiling? It just sort of grows out of the ceiling.
Ew. I don't like that
like
visual.
It's just a video game asset that's just clipping.
Yeah.
Carl lets out another sigh next to me.
Wish I had a joint.
I feel a small flicker of annoyance.
Yeah, you got bigger problems, my dude.
And how will that help anything?
Disengaging. That's how.
Yeah. Carl's quiet for a moment, clearly sensing the change in my mood. I immediately regret it, but I don't have the energy to take it back.
Because it might make me feel a little bit better.
By making you feel less? We need to be alert right now, so we can figure this out. I bring my tone back down to normal, realizing how unfair it would be if I get mad at Carl right now.
I don't know if we can, though.
Carl's lips tug down in a frown, and it looks like he's trying to keep himself from crying. Before I can say anything to comfort him, Jenna speaks up.
You will.
Her voice is dark, firm, and completely unlike the way Jenna has ever spoken before. We both look at her, and she sits there, legs crossed, staring hard at us. Well, at me. Carl sits up.
Jenna.
Jenna doesn't look at him. Instead, she keeps looking at me.
John.
Now she does look at Carl, and it's out of instinct, her eyes darting to him before looking back to me. I recognize it as that almost unstoppable urge to look the way you hear your name being called. Yeah. We'd suspected. And Jenna had been acting weird, but to think that she was that consumed by him. Carl glances at me meaningfully. We haven't asked her directly about it yet, so I guess now's the time. Hey, Jenna, are you feeling okay?
I feel like this is a conversation they should have had immediately. It's kind of been bugging me that they haven't talked about this entire time. I know they're trying to avoid conflict, but it's not avoidable. You have to talk to her about this.
They kept holding out hope that they could just solve the problem, but it's pretty hopeless to get sent back to the first place.
Well, I think the solving of the problem is doing what Carl's doing, where he's apparently able to stifle it. I mean, I almost think if we had brought this up earlier, she wouldn't be so far gone. We should have brought this up immediately when she did the first weird thing she did. We're like, hey, yo, snap, snap.
I mean, it seemed like she did the first weird thing at the birthday.
Yeah, but we could have. I'm trying to think when we figured out this is what was happening.
Remember that one guy, they lived at us?
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
Still...
I still think about it. Where is he?
Just some dude.
Oh my gosh. He just comes out of one of these doors right now. That would scare the fuck out of me. I'm feeling fine.
It's just that you haven't seen yourself for a while now.
What do you mean?
I look over at Carl as he shifts himself around the floor.
Listen, when we first got here, and even a little before then, I was feeling weird.
Carl pauses as he seems to be searching for the right words.
Sort of like something else had become a part of me.
Jenna narrows her eyes at Carl, but doesn't say anything.
There was another voice in my head, almost. And after a while, I knew it was that guy, James, in my head. Sounds like you're going crazy.
Carl frowns.
Maybe, but he was making me act different, feel different, and it was kind of fucked up, to be honest. Weird. Yeah, weird, but it was easy to get him out of my head.
Carl points at his horns.
I just used my horns. I trapped him inside there.
I just got horny and...
And then he didn't want to be in my head anymore. He got put off by my girlfriend with the dick that I think about every once in a while still.
I don't like it in this mind. It's sticky.
Yeah, it's like, ew. It smells musty in here.
No.
And now he's not there anymore.
Jenna keeps that stern look on her face, frowning at Carl.
What are you trying to say? Well, do you know a guy named John? John Begay? Not really. You keep mentioning him, but no one's told me who he is, aside from the fact that he was hanged.
I remembered the picture I'd taken of John back in Carl's crawl space. My hand feels my phone through my pocket, as I almost reach in and pull it out before remembering that it's dead.
Oh yeah, it's super dead.
He was in some of the pictures with James Hendricks, the founder of the town. Jenna stares at me blankly. James was Carl's ancestor, right? We think that John was your ancestor too. He was a fox and has the same last name.
So?
So wasn't your family an echo since the beginning?
Yes.
So it seems like you're probably related to him, right? Jenna stares hard at me, then at Carl.
Our family doesn't have records like yours, Carl.
Carl frowns again.
You say that like it's my fault. Maybe it is.
Carl starts to sputter again, but I cut in before he can defend himself. See? Jenna doesn't talk like that. You wouldn't say something like that. Jenna doesn't say anything, keeping her glare at Carl. Carl clears his throat nervously.
What I'm trying to say is maybe your ancestor's in your head like mine was. I don't think so.
Carl lets out a frustrated sigh.
I mean, something's different with you, dude. I can see it. Chase sees it.
I nod in confirmation. Raven suddenly cuts in. I mean, I don't know you that well, but if we're going by how a normal person acts, you're not acting very normal.
Yay! He contributed.
I'm also here.
He's grown on me a lot. I really like that he's here. He makes me laugh. He's such a sweetheart. We're not in a normal situation like that, are we?
Carl shakes his head.
I know you can resist it like I did, Jenna. You've always had a really strong mind, way stronger than mine.
We've measured it before with like a meter, mind meter.
I have the horns, but it's about the brain part that matters.
Carl swallows. Does he now?
Spitters or quitters. So it shouldn't be a problem for you to stop it like I did.
Jenna shrugs.
Nothing's wrong with me, Carl.
We all go quiet then.
Besides, this isn't about clearing James's name or whatever. Why are you talking about John?
Jenna stares at Carl, eyes moving across his face like she's searching for something. Carl stares hard right back at her.
Unless you don't want to fight it.
Jenna's expression remains emotionless.
I mean, are you letting him? I don't know, Carl. Are you letting him control you? No, I already told you. I fought him out. How do we know that's true?
Carl throws his hands up.
Dude, why would I lie?
Carl looks at me for some help. Yeah, Carl's way different than he was earlier. He's himself now.
But how do you know that?
Because we've spent all week together.
And also, we're like childhood friends.
Remember the part where we neglected everybody else?
Yeah.
We did kissing.
Jenna, I'm qualified. My tongue's been in his mouth. I know what he's like. That's how that works.
I don't know what else to say to Jenna to convince her. Of course, I can't be completely sure. The only person that can know is Carl. He says he isn't possessed anymore, and I trust him on that.
He's a coward now.
That's pretty iffy. Yeah.
He's not confident. He's a loser again, Jenna. That's how we know.
Well, he has, like, saved 3 people since then.
I know. That's why it is kind of funny.
You have the stove, and you have the darkness, and you have the noose.
Well, it was in him all along.
Yay.
Yay. And I think Carl is definitely acting very Carl. I wish I had more context for Jenna to know. I mean, I understand that they keep telling me story-wise from Chase is telling me
spelling it out.
That this is not Jenna. But we've spent like the least amount of time with Jenna to the point where I don't feel like I know what she's like anyway. And she kind of already has a sassy look that's just consistent. So it'll be fun to play her in other plot lines if she's in them to see her be a normal person.
Well, she's in at least one.
She's in the one with her at least,
yeah.
You know. But Carl is acting very on par with Carl, so as far as we know him. Jenna, he isn't, I promise. You think James kept his promises? Oh yeah, there's a... it's leaking through.
Carl and I share a look. Jenna, what do you mean by that? A strange look crosses Jenna's face, breaking out of the stoic detachment she's been portraying for the last however long it's been. It's confused, but it's also like she wants to say something with her mouth open. Jenna? She seems to be frozen like that for a moment before she seems to finally give up, shaking her head.
I don't know.
She glares at Carl. He blanches defensively.
What? You keep acting like this is my fault. Maybe it is.
This time Raven cuts in before Carl can say anything. Is James stopping John from saying something? I watch Jenna closely, and that's when she finally looks away.
I don't know.
Jenna, are John and James upset with one another? Jenna shrugs, not looking at me. Carl lets out a sigh of frustration.
Jenna, we need to figure this out.
Listen, I don't know much about these guys, but it sounds like James and John are trying to tell us something.
No kidding, buddy.
Raven looks back and forth between Carl and Jenna. And trying to stop the other one from telling us something. I rub my face with my hands, feeling frustrated, just wishing these two assholes could tell us what it is they want to say. So they're trying to tell us something about the past, and they both don't want us to know what the other one knows. Maybe that's what we're supposed to figure out? So it's not as simple as just clearing James's name. John has something to say too, and he sure as hell wants us to hear it. I close my eyes. We're stuck in the middle of a possessed ghost fight with each of them trying to tell us their version of a story. The whole thing seems ridiculous, insane, but I really don't have anything else to go off of. It's funny because this is like, I figured this out immediately, that this was the entire plot of what was happening.
Well, I think we...
this is like episode 1 of being in the ghost dimension.
Yeah, to me, this was very immediately clear.
This is why Raven's the best character. He can think clearly because of all the not trauma.
He's doing A-okay. But yeah, no, it was like very apparent immediately that James and John's ghosts were involved. It became very apparent that they didn't want us finding evidence of things, so they keep destroying evidence and obscuring it. And they also seem to fucking hate each other. So, I mean, a little bit late to the game, guys, but it's okay. Did you find anything about them in the crawl space?
This is why you can get all your best detectives at Spencer's.
Oh, next time I go shopping there, I'll look out for one.
I'm here to hire a PI.
Right next to like all the dildos in the back.
The rainbow dildo.
That's where they put
the lollipop
PIs.
dildo. And just go down the line. I try to think back. Like I've said, they both got convicted of sodomy. John was hanged, and James left to start his ice cream business.
Those are both very different fates.
Yeah, it's very, very asymmetrical punishment.
Hanged, and I get to work with ice cream the rest of my life. Hooray!
So why wasn't James hanged too? I have news for you about justice in the United States.
Privilege?
And race.
Yeah.
His influence in the town, probably? Well, I can see how that might cause problems between the two of them. I look over at Carl, who's still looking at Jenna. Jenna's picking at the rope in her lap. Hey, did James tell you anything while you were under his influence? Like, did he say anything? Carl rubs his chin.
Not really. It's weird. It just sort of felt different. I said things I wouldn't normally say, but I guess I never heard any voices.
There isn't much more to talk about at this point.
You probably would have gotten different dialogue choices if we picked the other.
Because he could still be there.
Because he would still be there, I guess. Yeah.
Unless one of the spirits decides to do something else that can help us along somehow. So what are we supposed to do next exactly? Raven points at the back of the room. There's a door there. We all look in the direction he's pointing. Sure enough, there is a door there. It's a concrete door practically cut out of the wall. It's featureless aside from a rusty metal handle. What? Was that there before?
I think I would have seen it the first time I looked in.
Jenna stands up, taking a few steps towards the door.
What, so we're just gonna go through another door?
Carl's laying back down on the floor on his back, staring up at the ceiling again. I can understand where he's coming from. Another door to possibly another nightmare. But a sudden reluctance is making it easier for me to find the strength to keep going.
Well, I mean, video game logic. It's like if a new doorway appears or a new pathway opens up, you know that's the next thing you do.
I reach out, resting a hand on his. Carl, this might be the last one. It might be the way out. Carl snorts.
Seriously, dude, you think they're just gonna let us go? We've accomplished nothing. We can leave you here if you'd prefer.
I glare at Jenna, but she's not even looking at me, instead staring at the concrete door. Carl, we have to keep moving. If we go through another door, we're at least going somewhere. Yeah, and besides, the bad stuff has only happened to me and Jenna, so you guys probably have nothing to worry about.
It's not like you're due for bad stuff.
The things that have happened so far are the only things that will ever happen. Forever. That's how trends work. We can't stay here forever. I gently stroke the back of Carl's furry hand. He laughs again.
Maybe we could just keep pulling grilled cheese sandwiches out of the cupboard?
Carl props himself up on his elbows.
Who knows? Maybe I can get some weed out of there. It's gonna taste like chalk, Carl. We figured this out already.
Weed chalk.
Yum.
It's gonna smoke chalk.
It's like those little candy cigarettes. you just blow out chalk dust.
Carl looks back into the hallway, apparently seriously considering that. Come on, man. We're all going in together. I reach out both my hands to him expectantly, since I can't get up on my own.
I'm a baby, help me.
Carl stares. Help me, I'm a baby.
Gotta love me, I'm the baby.
Carl stares at them contemplatively for a second, then finally gets to his feet while pulling me up onto his back with a loud grunt.
Alright, man. But if this freaky, spooky ghost dimension goes on for another fucking door, I'm gonna pull a joint from the magic cupboard.
Of course. Jenna's already standing in front of the door.
Man, I don't want to pass out again. We just did that.
I look back towards the hallway. You know, maybe we should check the rest? Jenna reaches forward to grab the metal handle, and before any of us can say anything more, she yanks it open. A trail leads through the desert landscape, and cacti and boulders obscure my view on either side.
Ooh.
The ground is rocky, and dust kicks up with each step I take. As I continue up the path, I can see 3 peaks of the Caso Demonio mountains in front of me. I'm heading towards the town of Echo, just over those mountains. As I get closer, I notice the trail branches off toward the side of the mountain. I follow the trail with my eyes into the hazy distance, almost disappearing into the heat waves. Still, I can make out a small, dark hole. The mine.
Some things should just be left alone.
Dust swirls silently at the mouth of the mine, almost sparkling in the bright noon light.
Every single person here.
Something seems to pulse out of the entrance, sending an almost invisible wave through the air.
You will never escape. You will always come back.
Red seeps from the hole, running up the side of the mountain in a wave, turning rock and dust the color of blood.
You'll always be running in circles.
I start jogging up the trail, panting in the desert heat, not sure what I'm doing. The sky in front of me lights up that same ominous red color in the direction of Echo. Somehow I'm able to scale the side of the mountain in just seconds. I get to the peak and look over the edge. I see the town, but it's not the town I remember. At least not all of it. Lake Emma is in the distance to the left. The motel and supermarket are to the right. But the ruins by the lake aren't just old foundation remnants anymore. They're fully standing now, with their log walls and roofs. Several dozen more houses run up the side of the lake, standing in stark contrast to the more modern buildings further away, toward Main Street. There's even a few buildings that I don't recognize. And there, just below me, is Carl's house. But it's different. The mansion is bigger. The walls are a lighter color. It looks older. Somehow, I'm already there, like I just teleported straight down to stand on the road in front of Carl's house. I stare down the slope towards the town, and there, next to the road, is a wooden platform built under a tree. There's a rope hanging from the tree, a noose. I look back down at the town, at all the different buildings. But no matter which structure I'm looking at, one thing's the same. They're all lit up blood red. It's interesting callback to the tree in front of his house.
Oh yeah.
Like they were establishing and somewhat foreshadowing, but not really, the that's where somebody was hanged.
We already kind of know about that, but I wonder if the voice we heard is like that of like the native people.
We actually caused all of this by snapping that branch.
Oh no. Is that all it takes?
If you weren't too busy staring at Carl's belly, you could have stopped the apocalypse, TJ. You fool.
Oh no, it's so easy to make bad decisions.